awesome. That is awesome. All right, here we go again. We are at Smith Lake. Practice starts tomorrow for stop number 6 or 7 for the 2024 season. Man, I am pissed after last week. 51st place on Wheeler Lake, 1 ounce shy of the cut. I am not gonna let that happen this week. It is hot. What has changed? 95 degrees out here in northern Alabama, but we have a particularly cool lake because it's a deep, clear, rocky, ledgy, docky, spotted bass fishery. Matter of fact, all the spots I grew up fishing in Northern California, Shasta Lake, Lake Oroville, Berryessa, etc., all came from this lake right here. The state of Alabama hooked up with California. I know that's weird, but they got the spotted bass out of this lake, Smith Lake, here in northern Alabama, and brought them all the way to California, where I had so much fun growing up and catching them. So tomorrow, first thing in the morning, we're gonna go out and cover as much water as possible. You guys are gonna come along with me, and we're gonna try to break this lake down. No more 51st place finishes, no more cuts missed, no more 1 ounces shy of the cuts. This week, we're protecting a 17th place AOY standing. After we get done cooking these steaks here, we're gonna eat up. I'm gonna finish a little bit of tackle, and I'm gonna show you kind of the rods, reels, and tackle I have rigged up and what to expect throughout practice this week. All right, finished up dinner, and I hopped out here and just tied on a few more baits here that I think will be the deal here on Smith this week. One thing you gotta realize with spotted bass, and this is predominantly a spotted bass fishery, 90% spotted bass, 10% largemouth. And largemouth only show up like in March and April, and here we are in June, and this one's gonna be kind of a wild card for a lot of dudes. But luckily for me, I've got a lot of experience doing the spotted bass thing in the heat of the summer out in Northern California. One thing you gotta know about some spotted bass, when they actually bite your lure, whether it's a spoon, a topwater, or a worm, they're either 100% on, like they smoke it and eat it, aggressive as, you know, 10 out of 10 aggressive, or they barely nip the bait. And that happens a lot of times with the worms. It took me years and years and years to realize that and actually develop a feel for the bite of spotted bass. So I'll start over here. And I think we all know by now, 2024, it's all about forward-facing sonar and jig-headed minnows. I've got a couple of them rigged up here. I'll probably have 3 or 4 by the end of practice, but I think more importantly than the bait itself is gonna be the weight size. So I've got a couple of different sizes, 1/8 ounce, 3/16 ounce, and over here I've got a 3/8 ounce. So I can get it down deep, whether it's bridge pilings, bluff walls, deep docks over 80, 100 feet of water, which they have plenty of out here. And then I also have just a regular fluke, a weighted inline hook fluke, which works really good, you know, after the topwater thing, you fish just below the surface. Of course, the Neko rig, where I've been catching, you know, all my fish the last couple tournaments, just a straight-tailed worm, watermelon, real easy stuff there. And then like an old school spotted bass Northern California secret, and this is right here, is just a regular dart-headed worm. Just a morning dawn worm. We all know that color works well in clear water fisheries, but just a darter head. And on a fishery where everyone fishes shaky heads, I'm gonna throw an old school West Coast style darter head, and that should do it. So that's what I'm expecting over here for the slow stuff. Of course, I have to have 2 different sized Danger swimmers on. This is a 6-inch and the 7-inch, both in blackback shad color. This basically imitates the blueback herring that are out here. I've never competed here before, but from what I understand, it's like 50% herring and 50% shad. So I have these both in the heavy version. It comes in a shallow version and a heavy version, but 6-inch heavy, 7-inch heavy. And basically with the hot water temperatures, the heavy version allows me to fish it faster without the rolling and turning, and that's what sparks and fires up a lot of these spots into biting. Moving over here, 3 different topwaters. When the fish can be picky in June, July, August, summer hot, you know, the fish can get picky. Old school spook, a pencil popper type bait. This is a chrome color, works really well on herring lakes. And then an old school vixen. This particular one is like super old school. I think I won an event as a co-angler actually in like way back in the early 2000s on that exact one. So 3 different topwaters. course, I have to have a spoon. When I'm going down the lake and I see a nice row of docks over 80, 100 feet of water, you know, we're looking for shade, whether it's the shade line from the bluff itself or those docks that are lined up on those bluff walls. I'm gonna grab this spoon right here and pitch it in that shade and let it flutter down. Jerk, jerk, and let it pause, let it fall, let it fall, let it fall. And a lot of times those big spots or big suspended largemouth will eat that little Larry spoon. That's just the regular chrome color. It's got the flash on it and everything. It's legit. And then last but definitely not least, this has been rigged up for a couple tournaments now. This is just an old school rat. It's a wake bait. In my experience, fishing for spotted bass, whether it's in the fall, whether it's in the spring or dead of heat summer like this, they like that slow action of a big size bait that just breaks the surface of the water. You can see the V-wake and it just calls them in. So I went with just a rat. It's a black rat with like a rat tail. My Northern California days, I've caught more big spots, 4 or 5 pounders on a wake bait than anything else. Dead of winter, heat of summer, does not matter. So that's my breakdown of all the different rods. It took me pretty much all day in the heat. You know, I'd go rig up and then go inside and chill in the AC and then come back out here and rig. I have got an absolute early morning ahead of me, so I'm gonna go back inside, get some rest, and then you guys are gonna hop in with me and we're gonna try to break down Smith Lake again, trying to protect that 17th place AOY standing right now. I'm in the classic cut. Of course, it's on Ray Roberts, my home lake, so we're gonna do everything we can. And I need a top 10. I haven't top 10 in like 2 years, so I need a top 10 this week. I think these rods can help me get it done. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I am hot. So I'm gonna go grab me a shower, sit in the AC, and we'll see you guys at 5:07 in the morning tomorrow. All right, here we go. It's 5:15 a.m. Monday morning. Time to go to work. This is a weird place, man. I mean, if you look at this here, I mean, at its widest point, Smith Lake is probably 500 yards, so 5 football fields wide. And it's a very branchy type of lake here. I'm gonna zoom in. This is where we're blasting off here. So literally, to make it to the other side of the lake over here, I mean, you got to go through all these little branches. So again, spotted bass fishery. So we're gonna drive around and look for busting fish, throw the minnow at them, throw topwater at them, and slow down with the worm if we have to. Let's get it.
Following it. First cast with minnow. All tiny. Picky. Micros. That one ate a minnow. Working it fast. 3/8 ounce head, so working it super fast. Let's see if this is a keeper. That is barely a keeper, 15 inches. What is that, a pound? Man, they're blowing up everywhere. They're so hard to get to bite, and a lot of them are like just pounders, but I mean blowing up everywhere. Problem is the bait's real tiny. These aren't herring chasers. These things are chasing this year's shad, which are like an inch long. Finally. Finally got one to commit. Neko rig, non-keeper.
All right, I've been on the spot for like 45 minutes to an hour now. I've only caught like 2 little ones, 1 keeper. But I'm just going, this spot's loaded. They're like blowing up everywhere. I see them all over the screen. There's literally probably 100 fish right here, but they're so picky. The water temperature is 86 degrees and it's flat, calm, it's sunny. It's starting to get hot, really, really hot. The fish are super, super picky. So I've got all the rods sprawled out here. And I'm just trying to, I'm gonna stay in this area for a little bit and just try to go through different lures, all the little Western tricks I know, just to try to get some of these fish to bite. Although they're little ones, I'm just trying to get them to bite, to actually bite my lure and put their mouth on it. So they're following it and turning. So I'm just gonna run through a bunch of different lures just to see if we can get one to commit.
There's one. That Neko rig, dude, this might be a good one. This is what we need. 2 pounds, over 2 pounds. That's spot fishing.
I thought you were about to show me like a 3.5, 4
No,
pounder.
it's a lot harder. It's so hard to do that. All right, Trey called me and FaceTimed me and just landed that one right there. That's a over 2 pounder, which goes a long way this week. I could already tell these fish are super, super picky. I mean, I've been on the spot for like an hour now. They won't touch a minnow. They won't even touch a topwater. Threw a little Neko rig in there and second cast. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. Skinny old largemouth. All right, it's running down the lake and I saw this bluff with this awesome little shade line here. There's no other cover but a shade line. Threw a wake rat out there and there's a largemouth. I don't know, 2.5 pounder or so. It's super skinny, but that was awesome, dude. Heck, if we get 5 of those on a rat, that'd be legit. California style right there, wake rat. There's a big one with it. Oh yeah, that's a nice fish right there. Finally got one to bite. 2 1/4. There's a big one with it too. Oh. I just want to see it. I don't have to land it. I just want to see it. Staying in the shade of my boat. Gosh, it feels heavy. There was like 8 with it. What do we got? They were all the same size. Oh my gosh. That's a tank spot right there, boys. Like, got it too. Ooh, that's like a 4 pounder. All right, finally figured out the little minnow bite. I knew it would play. I saw a giant school of herring or shad and there was like 8 or 9 fish on top of the school. And instead of throwing a jig-headed minnow, I rigged up a hover rig. Look at this thing. It's like a 4 pound spot. That's an absolute giant for June, man. That is a giant. Dude, first drop on it, she ate it. And there was like 8 with it. That's awesome. All right, there's the bait right there. So instead of a jig head, it's one of those internal hover rig type jig heads. And it's like a tube style minnow, so it looks super real. I believe they're seeing the jig head, like that right there. They're seeing that jig head and they're just turning off of it and they're not biting it. But when you hide it inside the body, those guys right there, that's awesome. spitting out here. I gotta see what the food source is. No, come on. I think those are herring. Oh, it's falling. Look at that freaking giant, dude. Oh, on a freaking spoon on the fall. That is awesome. Now we know what to look for. All right, I'm starting to get excited. Almost a 3-pounder on the flutter spoon. Same exact pattern, exactly what I was doing for that last big one. They're just out here chasing herring, man. Big ones too, 5 and 6 inches. Let me show you what's going on here, one sec. All right, let me let this guy go. Freaking nice one. Check this out. This is what we're after right here. See that right there? Big old school of herring. And if they're not moving fast, they're just chilling. I mean, giant school of herring. Look, there's one bass right there. That's what we're after. Giant school of herring. So if we go find this somewhere else, I mean, they're biting, dude. Like when you see them just singles like that right there, they don't bite at all. But when they're around that stuff, food source, they snap. That right there, that's the ticket. Giant school of herring. Look at that one right there chasing. That one's chasing. Those are all like 3-pound plus fish. Right there, look at that dude. Just kind of corralling these things. Look at a couple more on that side. That's the jam right there. That's the pattern. That's a freaking winning pattern. Matter of fact, look at those big giant ones right there. Those are freaking giants. I could throw a spoon in there right now and catch those, but I'm gonna move on. I'm starting to get excited. That right there is what we're after. All right, it's been a couple hours since we got a bite, and I finally got one on a spoon on a bridge piling here. And I don't think that's a keeper. Let me find out real quick. All right, that was a 14-inch non-keeper. I'll tell you, finding them is not hard at all. I mean, you go up to any obvious structure like a bridge piling, docks, the dam, and they are all over the place. I mean, look at this. Absolutely all over that bridge piling. So that's not the problem, finding them. I mean, look at all those. The problem is getting them to bite. I mean, they just follow it out and they just don't bite it. There's a ton of them on that piling right there. That one probably has just as many. It's just hard to trigger them. So we're gonna keep working. Going through this little tunnel here. Look at the little baby swallows. Get them bunched up in there. Hey, buddies. All right, made it all the way back up to where I launched this morning. Stopped on the bridge and Magnum. It's crazy, you pull up to any bridge piling on this place and there's literally 30 to 40 bass on each piling. It's just a matter of getting them bite again. So I've got the Stanley Cup Game 7 to watch here. It's 7 o'clock and the game just started, so I'm about 5 minutes from the ramp, so I'm gonna go put it on the rack. All in all, good day. We scrapped around for 11 pounds or so. Had a really big one, and that fish had like 7 or 8 with it, so definitely have a lot to expand on for tomorrow.
All right, morning of day 2 practice. There's a lot less guys at the ramp this morning this early. It's 5:10 and there's only like 3 dudes at the ramp. Yesterday there was like 20. So what's that tell you? Either everyone watched the Stanley Cup last night and partied, or the fishing's kind of tough and they're not as excited to get out today. But I don't think there's a lot of hockey fans in our elite fields. Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup, by the way. So if an ice hockey team from Florida can win a Stanley Cup, a 13-year Elite Series guy could win an Elite Series tournament on Smith Lake. Either way, it's gonna take a lot of hard work. Literally every spot I pulled up to yesterday had some kind of life, some kind of spotted bass on these points. So last night I did some rigging. I rigged up a couple like tricky little things. So hopefully we can put more of those like 3+ pounders in the boat, because that's what it's gonna take. So time to grind another 14, 15 hours in the hot sun.
There's a keeper spitting out crawdads. I must have thrown at 20 fish so far this morning, and that's the only one that bit.
All right, little midday update here. It is hot, hot. Got a little music playing. I'm doing some idling, looking around for giant schools of herring or bait fish. I just got through fishing an area where I had like 3 or 4 different bites, just barely nip at my bait, and they were all good ones, all like 2.5 to 3.5 pounders. Completely different caliber of fish, just like yesterday. The ones that are hanging around those giant schools of bait are the ones that'll win this tournament. All the other ones off of points, little schools off of points that aren't around bait, are all little ones. So just idling around now, dunking my hat every now and then. It's like 96, 97 degrees out here. Looking for schools of bait. I'll flip around, live scope it, and throw a minnow at them. So pretty grueling.
Oh, I had them. Oh, those are all big ones, dude. I had them hooked. That's a giant school of bass right there. Dude, there's like 50 in there. Giant wolf pack. Look at that, dude. There's like 30 in there. Oh my gosh, these are magnums, dude. Oh, they're still there, dude. I can still see them. Look, look. Those are all bass right there. Dude, there was like 30 of them. Finally a good one today. I saw like 30 in a school. I was idling looking for those schools of herring. I found a giant school of herring, and then like 30 of those guys right there swam by, and I threw a minnow in there. That one got it. They all followed it. It was awesome. This is by far the winning pattern. Like that size fish right there, hard to get. 3 pounders are hard to get this week, but this is the winning pattern, man. I just got to find more like it.
Sitting here doing tackle underneath this bridge, and I heard a little plop. Little baby swallow, dude. Poor guy, he's still alive. Check this out. There's another one hanging right there. Look at him, he's just hanging on that edge. He's about to fall in the water. That sucks. Poor fella. What do I do? I'm just gonna throw them on the bank. Sorry, fella.
good one. And just a keeper. 16-incher. Oh my God, this thing's so big. I caught a 12-pounder earlier in the same area, and this thing is way heavier. Oh my gosh, this thing is so big. This might be a 20-pounder. Oh my gosh. Giant striper. It's like a tuna. Oh yeah, that's like an 18, 20. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a freaking mega striper. Oh, that might be my personal best striper. That thing's 25, dude. Yeah, that's like a 20. That's a 20.
It's like more hobby style.
There she goes. Giant striper.
All right, I spent most of my day in one arm. It's called Rock Creek, and I kind of like this area. There's a lot less pleasure boaters, it seems like, although there's docks everywhere. A lot of fishermen, but I saw a lot of things I like in here. I saw several schools of big spot just coming in real quick and moving out. Coming in real quick, moving out on those schools of bait. So I'm gonna call it a day, man. It's 7:15. It is hot, sweaty still. I'm gonna go get a shower and get a head start on bedtime because, man, it was hard to wake up at 4:15 this morning. So day 2 practice is a wrap. We had less bites than we did have more bites today. A lot of 1.5 to 2 pounders all the way in the back of this creek, but again, we got a lot to expand on for tomorrow. All right, morning, day 3 here. It's a little bit lighter than the last couple days as I'm launching. I slept in about 30 minutes, dude. Scoping in 96-degree heat all day takes a toll on your body. My back hurts, my neck hurts, just brutal conditions here. And like as I launch, all the guys in the back here, like you walk across them on the dock and everyone's just like dead, just like absolutely dead. So, I mean, that's what you get in June when you're grinding it out. The bite's tough. All these guys are grinding. And today's gonna be no different. So I like what I see as far as just chasing down big schools of shad, big schools of herring, and then all those roaming fish around. I'm comfortable doing it. I mean, it's a boring technique, but it's very, very effective. So some big ones to be caught. We got to try to find a few more today.
Oh, big school. Incher underneath that bait. Dude, it is way too early for that kind of music. All right, time to get out of here. Look at all of them. So many. Gosh. That's the last thing a herring sees right there before he dies. That's healthy. Alright, easy there for camping. It's been a good morning as far as numbers go. Lots of 14 to 15 inches. Remember, 15 inches is a keeper. Minnows. Yay. Got her. That was a single. So the singles have been super hard to catch, but I made a little color change on my bait. That one got it. That's a good one, man, down here by the dam. That was cool. That was just a single, no bait around. All right, there's a mega school right here. Look how fast they're moving. It's a great example of what I've been looking for. Giant balls of either herring or shad. And spotted bass. All up in it. Good fish. All right, little update here. It's 2 o'clock and the clouds are finally coming out after 3 days of straight sun, 96, 97 degrees. Clouds came out and look at that, caught a nice one. And I just been throwing at everything that moves. I caught a couple striper. Had a decent little limit today, and it's only 2 o'clock, so I'm gonna wrap things up a little bit early. I gotta go through my boat. The biggest thing going into this tournament is making sure my batteries, you know, I'm staying over at the RV park, making sure my batteries stay charged, stay plugged in overnight. You know, with everyone running their ACs and drawing a lot of power, I want to get a good charge on these batteries, because that's the whole key this week. This tournament is covering as much water as possible, scanning around and throwing at everything that moves. So that's a nice one right there. A limit of those would go a long way in this tournament. So I'm gonna let this guy go here. Then I'm only gonna fish for like 30 more minutes. I'm gonna start heading back to the ramp and getting everything ready. All right, practice is a wrap. We got back to the RV site here. My batteries are charging, no problems there. Like I said, I want to get as much juice as possible in those Battleborn batteries, because I mean, you guys saw me, it's just back and forth and back and forth. And as I was idling around, I was just kind of looking at schools of bait, but you really don't know what is chasing those schools of bait until you get on that trolling motor and pan around and make those casts. So I got a lot of tackle to do. As you can see, I already started doing some of it. All that tackle right there behind me, out of the boat. It's gotta be like 100 pounds, like seriously. All of it out of the boat, all the fun stuff. Big swim baits are not biting it. And just take a look at all the different lures I tried here this week. I actually caught a couple on this big wake rat. I tried the Topwater thing, they're not biting it. Of course, the spy bait, little poppers, not biting it. I even tried a rooster tail, not biting it, little riser. I did get a couple bites on a spoon. I will leave those out. It's all these little finesse presentations, flukes and darter heads and all these different minnows, and I really have it dialed down to literally 3 rods. So although I've got all this tackle to take out of my boat and all these rods over here to put back in my rod locker, I really only have to do 3 leaders, 3 spinning rods, and I've got 2 different minnows, a little Neko rig, and then 1 spoon rod, so 4 rods. So you guys saw me at the start of this video rig up all these different rods. Most of them didn't work.
but I think we figured out a little pattern that'll help us again protect that 17th place AOY finishing. So I'm excited. It's cooled down quite a bit, which is nice, but those 4 o'clock mornings, they come quick. So you guys got to see us rig up. You got to see some fish catches, couple nice ones. I'm gonna rig up, get ready. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for 3 days. It's been a hot one. Thanks for grinding with me. I'm gonna remove all the stuff out of my boat, and we'll see you next time, and hopefully I can get it done on day 1 tomorrow.